Mr. Trump wants to offer a one-time tax rebate of 10% to firms that repatriate their cash. To put an end to the balmy incentives, Mr. Ryan would stop taxing foreign profits. And then we have the blank. Meanwhile, firms would no longer be able to knock off the cost of imported goods when adding up their profits. In combination, these two changes are dubbed border adjustment. Okay, there might be a lot of things that you may not follow, right? I always keep saying this, don't let comprehension or don't let new words stop you from understanding the entire context, right? Repatriate, for example, means what? The first line, Mr. Trump wants to offer a one-time tax rebate of 10% to firms that repatriate their cash. Any idea? This is the first time you're hearing this word. Repatriate their cash means bring back money, right? Back to the country, right? So, this is what he's come up with. This is his plan. To put an end to the balmy incentives, Mr. Ryan would stop taxing foreign profits. I want you to look at, from the options again, I want you to pay attention to, see if you can identify, clue words, right? There's always some sort of repeat words sometimes. That's another strategy that I keep saying, right? How is it possible for me to connect sentences logically, right? There could be some repeat words where that can also be a good clue for links. Most of you are again coming back and saying option A. Look at all the options. Don't be hasty in giving me the answer. Understand the context. Okay, again, I want you to pay attention to meanwhile. So, while this is happening, in the same time, meanwhile, something else is happening. So, what is happening before meanwhile? The context that is there is, that's fine, Rishmi. Mr. Trump wants to offer a one-time tax to 10% firms that okay, to put an end to the balm, Mr. Ryan would stop taxing foreign profits. So, I have this another guy in the picture, okay, he's going to stop taxing foreign profits. Now, look at the options and you tell me what can be the logical sequence. Why? Okay, I'm going to give you an easy way to look at this, right, to figure this out. My clue words, okay, prior to the context is, in fact, the repeat words that I see in the context is, within this context itself, right, if I look at each of the sentence, some of the repeat words that I see is this, which is what? Profits, okay. Anything else that you see as a repeat word? I think that's the only repeat word that I see, right? And these repeat words in the options is available only in option E. Look at it, it says, in fact, he wants to ignore foreign activity altogether, including profits made by selling American goods abroad. So, who is the he? Ryan, what is he? It is adding to what the previous context is saying, right? In fact, he would stop taxing foreign profits. He's going one step ahead. What is he going to do? In fact, meaning he's not stopping there, boss. In fact, what he's going to do in addition to stop taxing foreign profits, he's completely going to ignore foreign activity altogether, including profits made by selling American goods abroad. So, while this is happening, meanwhile, firms would no longer be able to knock off the cost of imported goods when adding up their profits, right? Now, this makes logical sense. Nothing else. And afterwards, in combination, these two changes are dubbed border adjustment, and everything else that talks about the border adjustment probably can be sentences after the last sentence, right? Maybe it can be the next paragraph, I don't know. Because border adjustment is only introduced here. It is saying this is what is called border adjustment, and then if there are any sentences that is giving me additional information about border adjustment can come after that. That makes sense for me. Are you following? I cannot have D coming before the border adjustments being introduced, no? Logically, think about it. Every question you will end up applying different strategies. For this question, yes, this strategy worked. In fact, I want you to go through passage completion questions, which is part of, it will come under comprehension section. Okay, I want you to go through those videos. I have shared different questions with different strategies. Okay, I want you to go through that. So, anything that is giving me additional explanation about border adjustment will have to come after that. Yeah, you just have to figure out what Bami means. That will give you your answer, right? Incentives we know, something additional. Bami actually, which means, like it just doesn't make sense. Like, let's say for example, if you're working for a company, right? And when somebody is, and they're saying, hey, okay, we're going to give you an incentive, starting this month. And then when the incentive comes, it just doesn't even make sense. It's not worth an incentive. It's so silly. Why do they even bother? So you're mocking the incentive, right? Bami is just an adjective, means silly, worthless, doesn't make sense. So, yeah, so he wants to put an end to the Bami incentives, meaning these are just silly incentives which don't make sense at all. I don't even know why they call it an incentive in the first place. That's what it means. We can't look at it as strange or odd incentives, but in terms of what I explained, right? Remember, one word has different meanings. So in this context, I will look at incentives as being, it just doesn't make sense, these incentives. Yeah? So our answer option is E. People, yes, useless. There you go. That's another synonym for Bami in this context. Yeah? So I hope you're getting the hang of it. I hope you're getting the hang of it. It's okay. The more questions we practice, the more strategies we learn, right? So let's, maybe we look at one more of this question type before we move to the next question type. I want you to just see, pretty much we've applied the same strategies in the first two questions at least of this question type, right? We are focusing on context before the blank, after the blank. We're looking for any hint words, clue words in the context. Right? The second one, which was more prominent, where we looked at repeat words, which is fine. The first one, but for the most part, guys, these are just questions that test your reasoning, right? Logic, apply logic.